Most of us who have pets can testify that pets truly become a part of our families. They become a major part of our lives, and we oftentimes shape how we live our lives based on our pets. Think about it. Sometimes we change trips around because we don't want to leave a dog at home. We spend a lot of money hiring pet sitters, or taking time to give them a space in a kennel. The point is that pets are a big part of our life. And they're a big part of mine as well. Recently, my dog has reached his 5th birthday, back in March. But we don't really celebrate his birthday until his 5th year with us. And Baxter's 5th year with us was this last Friday. And as such, that's when his actual birthday was. And so, in honor of his belated birthday, I'm going to tell some stories on him. Hey, what's going on, geeks? Maxusthebeast is here, and welcome back to Storytime. Today, it's Dog Days. Today, we're going to be telling stories about experiences with pets, specifically, my dog. Now, for those of you who know me, you'll know that Baxter and I haven't always been the greatest of friends. In fact, when we first got him, we had a very rocky start to our relationship. You see, Baxter is a very ornery dog. And he has a specific vendetta for some reason against kids. There's just something he does not like with kids. And when we first got him back in 2014, he didn't like me because I looked young. And, he viewed my dad as the general, as the grand poobah of the family, and he grew attached to my dad. But me, he saw as a potential victim for him to bully, and for the longest time he did. But it wasn't just me who he terrorized. Every time we would go in public, we'd have to make sure he wasn't anywhere near a kid because he'd growl and try to bite them. There was this one time we were on vacation, this little girl walks over to him and says, "Oh, what a cute little puppy, can I pet your dog?" And before we could say anything to warn her, she's right on top of him, reaching out to pet him on the head. He hates being rubbed on the head, by the way. I think it has something to do with, seeing somebody's hand come down at him. From seeing somebody bigger than he is, just peering down and reaching down at him. Something about that seems to make him tick. And next thing we know, he's jumping up and growling and biting at her. Thank gracious he didn't get her. But she's crying now, and her parents quickly grab her and get away. We're lucky we didn't get sued. So, that was a lesson learned. He did not like kids. And that rule I was not exempt from. And one of his biggest tics is being left alone. He hates being left alone. And so if you try to leave, nowadays he just pouts. He kind of accepts it. And he'll find some place to lay down and kind of just pout for a bit. But used to, when we first got him, he would run at us and bite us. This one instance, I was trying to go to the gym. And as I was getting ready to leave the house, he comes darting around the corner from the kitchen and starts growling at me. Well, I had to go into the kitchen to get a bottle of water out of the fridge. So I go in the fridge. He's still making all this noise, growling at us and all that. But then I start trying to leave the kitchen, and he just goes ballistic. He starts chasing me around the room. Yeah, he's still a little thing. But to my credit, when you have a snarling dog running at you, logical thought about size and whatnot typically go out the window, especially when you're, you know, not expecting it whatsoever. And he jumps up and he takes a chunk out of the side of my leg, and his tooth gets caught in the side of my leg, and it's sitting there for a solid 10 seconds, and the tooth leaves my skin, but he's still clinging onto my pant leg. I'm freaking out. My mom's trying to get him off of me. She's now aware of what's going on. She grabs him by the collar and starts pulling him back. He turns around and clamps down on her arm. So eventually we get lucky enough to get him outside, right? I don't know how, but somehow he managed to pick him up and literally throw him out the door. Before you cry animal abuse, look, we're bleeding at this point, okay? And I had jumped on the kitchen counter, and thankfully he could not reach me up there. I still have a scar on the side of my leg where he bit me. But after that incident, we really questioned whether we should keep him or not. Because that behavior was scary for us, and also, obviously, very harmful. I mean, we were bleeding. We didn't have to go get any kind of rabies shot or anything because he'd already been given, rabies shots, so there'd be no chance of him giving us some kind of disease, but still, leaving scars and causing a lot of bleeding is not a good thing whatsoever. But we just decided that we're going to give him one more chance. And so we just started being more affectionate towards him, and, it worked. We decided to love the devil out of him. And it worked. He still doesn't like kids. I don't think that's ever going to change. But he's getting better around us. I mean, he's really good around us now. But he's still getting better around other people. Our next story is going to be a little less traumatic, don't worry. This happened recently. So I was out and about, and I decided to stop by Arby's. Because I really like Arby's roast beef sandwiches and curly fries. They're really good. Since I'm not too keen on eating and driving, I just have a hard time multitasking when trying to concentrate on the road. I get my food to go and drive it home. I'm really excited about eating because I'm hungry, and I've been smelling this food for a good 25 minutes or so. Get home, I go into the kitchen, set my stuff down. Typically I will go upstairs and eat and watch YouTube or play games at the same time. But, this one night I decided to do something different. Besides, I had to feed the dog anyway, so I might as well just stay downstairs. I just sit down, put some food in the dog's bowl, get my food ready. Baxter, first of all, he's weird when it comes to eating. He won't eat his dry food unless someone literally sits with him. You have to be either in the general area with him, or be at least in the same room. But here's the thing. He won't eat it if you're eating anything else. Because he knows that people food tastes a whole heck of a lot better than the dry dog food. So he won't eat the dog food unless nobody else is eating, and you're in the room with him. You have to be in the room with him. So, of course, since, I'm eating, he's not going to eat the dry food. He comes over and sits down next to me on the floor and just starts staring at me. And after a while, if you don't acknowledge him, he'll start whimpering and trying to get your attention. He'll jump on the table. He'll jump up, put his paws on the table and look around. So I have to make sure that your food's pushed up really well. Well, since, I'm just eating a roast beef sandwich and fries, I didn't get any kind of plate or anything. So I just got a placemat, and, I just unwrapped the sandwich, put the fries in their container down, and got me a straw for the drink, because the people forgot to give me one. So I'm eating the sandwich. I stopped eating for a second. I'm almost done with it. And I put it down for a second so I can text, because I received a message from somebody. And the second I do that, Baxter jumps on the freaking table. Well, I say on the table, he's not actually on it, but he puts his paws on the table and grabs the side, and with his paw, grabs the side of the sandwich's wrapper and pulls. And he knocks the wrapper in the floor with the sandwich with it. The sandwich falls along with the wrapper. And he eats the remainder of my sandwich. The son of a gun stole my freaking sandwich because he wanted it. I mean, to his credit, it was a good sandwich, but still, you don't steal people's sandwiches, dude. Honestly, I don't know what I was expecting. It's taught me a valuable lesson, which I thought I had learned a long time ago, which is never to leave food unattended around with him, especially food that I'm not using plates with, like I guess you could say unsecured food, and to make sure placemats and food itself is scooted a little bit away from the table so he can't just reach up there and grab it. But I guess I had a momentary lapse in judgment. And from there on out, I've been extra careful to make sure that, and that doesn't happen again. My next story comes from around the time we first got him. So, as I'm sure I've told you before, I'm a major history buff. And as such, I want to visit historical landmarks. So one day we went up to Red Hill, the home of Patrick Henry, and we took a quick tour and then came back home. After we got home, my mom went to go visit a friend of the family and left me home by myself with the dog. I was supposed to let Baxter outside because we have an electric fence for him, but on that particular day it wasn't working, so we kept the cap on the dog door so he couldn't just leave the house at any time. But, every couple hours I'd have to take him out, and for the first few instances, nothing happened. It's around 3 o'clock now in the afternoon. I'm like, I think we should take Baxter out again. So I go outside, let him outside with me, and I sit on the front porch and watch him. At the time, he did this weird thing, because he knew that his collar wasn't working, that his fence wasn't on. And he'd take advantage of it, and he'd walk down to the end of the driveway, but he'd do his business around our mailbox, and then he'd walk back. Kind of weird, but, up until this point, he didn't really do anything, He just did his business just really far down the driveway. Frickin' weird, but at least he took care of business and came back. Well, this time he decided he wanted to be a bit adventurous. And so he walks down to the mailbox. He's hanging around down there. The mailbox is a good distance away from our house. We have a long driveway, but we can still see it from our house. There's no trees or anything obscuring our vision. It's just a straight stretch from our house to the mailbox. So I can still see him. Which means I can also see if he's deciding to come back. And I can see him sniffing around the mailbox, being a dog. I already saw him do his thing, and I was expecting him to turn tail and walk back. But he didn't. Instead, he starts walking away from the mailbox, towards the main road. Now, our little cul-de-sac isn't connected to the main. I mean, it's connected to the main road, but it's like, if he leaves the area where the mailbox, he's not going to be entirely in the line of fire for cars, because our cul-de-sac rarely gets traffic. So it's pretty calm and not likely that he'll be hit by anything. But the direction he was going, if he kept going straight, he would have been somebody else's yard. But the way he was going right. And that leads up from the cul-de-sac, leads up the road towards the main road. And that's where he was going. Since I didn't really think he was going to be doing much, I didn't have any shoes on. So I literally ran down the road barefoot with a leash trying to catch him. Because I knew if he was going up there in that direction, he's going to be on the main road, he could die. And the last thing I need on my hands, because believe it or not, I care for the dog, okay? Even after all the flack he's given me, I still care for him. Especially, I don't want him to be run over by a car. So I'm booking it up the road, and he sees me. At first, instead of running, I start slowly walking and calling him, but he takes one look at me and sees me walking in his general direction, and he turns tail and he starts running as fast as he can up the road. I'm starting to freak out, so I start running, but I realize he's a lot farther up the road than I am, and it'll take me a lot longer to get to where he is now. And by the time I'm to the point where he was at that time, he is going to be up the road even farther and on the main road, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. So, thinking quickly, I didn't have a car or anything at the time. I couldn't just drive up there. But a neighbor was home. So I called the neighbor, and my phone number was recently, my dad at the time had gotten a new phone, and instead, he didn't give me like a hand-me-down phone. I got my own phone, but he gave me his old phone number. So the number that pops up looks the same as my dad's on the neighbor's phone. So he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, it's not who you think it is. It's actually me, Max." And Baxter's kind of booking it up the road. I need help. I can't catch him, so momentarily, I'm starting to make my way up the road. But I look at the neighbor's house. I see my neighbor get into his truck and start coming up the road too. So I'm still barefoot at the top of our driveway area, top of our cul-de-sac little subdivision, and he's across the road. Thankfully, no cars had come by, but he had made his way to another neighbor's house really far up the road. And that neighbor has dogs. And that dog just so happened to be in the front yard, which got his attention. Great. So he starts chasing this dog across the person's yard. I make it up there, and my neighbor is following me. The other neighbor's in his yard too, like raking leaves, or doing some yard work or something. And, well, let's just say he wasn't too pleased to have a random dog run across his yard, but I guess it wasn't really random. He knew Baxter. He walks over to me, he's like, "Why is your dog up here?" Sorry, sir, but he seems to have decided he wanted to be free today. So, a while later, the neighbor's dog and Baxter come running back. But he sees me with the leash in hand, and he's like, No, I'm not going back. I've enjoyed my freedom for far too long. I now have a taste for what it's like to be a free dog. And I ain't never going back to the old life that you gave me before. I ain't living with you no more. I'm gonna be a free dog. I'm my own person. I'm my own puppy. I'm gonna do what I wanna do, and you can't do nothing to stop me. And he starts backing up. But here's the thing. At the time, remember, this is still around the time where he still kind of hates me. So he ain't gonna come to me. But he likes my neighbor. My neighbor gets down on his knee. And Baxter's like, well, doggone it. If I didn't like that guy, I wouldn't be coming back. But just know, I ain't giving them my freedom that easy. I'm only doing it just this once. Out of respect to him. But if it was just you, and he weren't here, I'm my own dog. And so we leashed him, got him back to the house. My neighbor was kind enough to give me a ride back, so I wouldn't have to trek down the road barefoot again. Apologized to the other neighbor. He was understanding, thankfully. But we after that, I told my parents the story. Neighbor testified for me. And after that, we prioritized fixing the electric fence, and we've had the occasional hiccup, but he's never run off since that one time. And I'm thankful because, if he got that streak of rebellion in him, he might decide to go start his own dog cartel or something. I don't know what you kids do these days. I don't understand. Probably go Fortnite dancing down the road, doing the floss, doing the best mates down the road. Try and be all cool. Get the victory royale. I'm tired and the brain ain't working the way it used to. But those are the stories I wanted to share tonight. Happy birthday, Baxter. Been a good 5 years. Or at least the last 3 have been good. The first 2, year 1 was bad. Year 2 is better. The last 3 years have been good, though. And looking forward to many more with you, buddy. This video is dedicated to my dog, obviously. So, I hope you guys enjoy the stories tonight. It's been fun to tell. I got kind of into that last one. But, nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed. And I know we've been pushing out a lot of story times as of recent, but hey, my dog's birthday only comes around once a year. Or I guess technically the anniversary of having him, but whatever. It's his birthday to us, okay? Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this video. I do hope you enjoyed the stories. And as always, Maxusthebeast is out.